Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today. Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's time for round 3 of the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 410 Thunder Series, presented by Hobbs Trenching and Boring, FastPrint Signs and Apparel, DM Simtography, Wash It Mobile Truck Washing, and supporting Neuro Power. What a championship it has been so far. We've had 2 magnificent rounds of this series, and we come to Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri. This is one of the circuits that's, of course, very tight, very fast as well. And we're going to have a lot of challenges for the drivers tonight. To bring it to you all live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch is myself, Reese Gardner. And alongside me in the commentary box is Dan Yeaman, with Jay Kennedy, as always, behind the scenes, bringing you these live pictures. But Jay has had an appointment with the dentist today, so we won't be hearing much from him. Get well soon, Jay. Well, Dan, it's time for some dirt action. And of course, you haven't been here for the first couple of rounds of the series, but let me tell you, it has been one heck of a championship so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes here.
Yes, thank you for that introduction there, Reese. And yeah, indeed, jumping into the comms box on a bit of short notice. Indeed, all the best to Jay, to hopefully be feeling a little better soon. But yeah, it means that I am a little bit blind on how things are, but all the same, have had a chance to get a bit of a glimpse at the social media presence for Oceanic Dirt Sim Events online so far. And well, the fact that we've had 2 races, 2 very different sets of results in the process, recent. Yeah, looking like another, or hopefully another good round of racing here for us this evening at Lucas Oil tonight.
Indeed, this track's only 600 meters long here at Lucas Oil Speedway. You see it in the background there, and the banking not as high as we've seen at some circuits so far this season, but it's going to be difficult at the best of times. There's a gutter that runs all the way around the track, as well as big white tires on the inside of the corners. So if you're performing a slide job, if you're trying to go down to the inside, you have to be careful not to run over those, because they could spell certain doom for you. Let's have a look at how the championship standings look coming into this third round of the series. Now, there was a bit of a shake-up at the start of the season with Riley Bilson winning the feature at Knoxville, but of course Tim Ryan came back at the second round of the championship to win, and it's looking a little bit jumbled here as we come into this third round.
Yeah. Just also hearing in game, or hopefully he'll be getting, apologies, we'll be getting to the practice, the brief warm-up drivers will get here in a couple minutes time, and then straight into the quick time as always as well. It is something, I guess, one of the things I have to get used to when watching these ODSE events race is the fact that drivers got very specific rules about where they can be out in practice, but we'll talk about that in a second as we bring up the ODSE 410 Thunder Series standings after the opening two races. And indeed, the domination of the second round for Tim Ryan has sent the Altus Esports driver back up to the top of the standings, but it is very tight given I'm seeing 15 points covering our top 10 drivers there, with plenty of drivers on equal points there as well.
Yeah, round one feature winner Riley Bilson still in fourth place in the standings. And yeah, there's very small separations here between all of these points. So let's see if Tim Ryan will be able to get it done here at Lucas Oil and make sure that he gets that championship lead completed. A slow lap here from the Beat the Dark cars here. Cooper Wilson and Josh Walton, because it's a very special round here. You'll notice the ribbon up in the top right. We're racing for Pete Hobbs, the owner of Hobbs Trenching and Boring, whose son Brent races in this series. Pete's going through bladder cancer at the moment, which is why we are running this special event here just before things get started in the warm-up. And well, I have to say that there's been a lot of appreciation amongst the drivers for what Pete Hobbs and the crew at Hobbs Trenching and Boring have done for their support of this series, and we certainly wish Pete all the best in his fight.
Yeah, indeed. Never good to hear that one of the community is currently going through a bit of a tough time, but it's great to see that the guys here at ODSE, drivers and organisers together, both working together to put this together as a commemoration round, and yeah, able to pay our respects to Pete Hobbs there, as Brent will do a couple more laps here right around the top of the track, which actually, if I remember quickly, also just having a quick look at some information about the rules for tonight, because there's specific stuff like this. If I'm looking at this correctly, I'm pretty sure the drivers, top apron in turns 3 and 4, where Brent is right now, is going to be out of bounds during the races this evening, because apparently it's not quite the same as what Lucas Oil is currently, or something to that effect, according to the words of Brady Baldwin, series administrator, in the drivers group on Facebook.
Yeah, interesting note there as the number 9 comes around, and we also see car number 64 out there as well. There is Brent Hobbs, who has definitely shown that he has what it takes in this series, running very well in this championship so far. You can see from that onboard just how flat the track gets up the top of turns 3 and 4 there, and brings it into the lane after doing a few slow laps around the circuit for his father. Again, we wish you all the best, Pete, and the community is behind you. That ribbon will be up there in the top right all night. Well, now we can look at getting into the action. Of course, it is the regular format for an ODSE event. We, of course, will run the quick time session first. There will be a very short practice session where no driver will be allowed to do more than 2 laps, and then there'll be another 2 laps to get the quick times down over 4 minutes. Then we have heats, and of course followed by a C main, a B main, and a feature. The heats will be 8 laps each, the C main will be 10 laps, the B main will be 12 laps, and then the feature will be 30 green flag laps, with laps not counting under caution. And this being such a short track, I get the feeling it's going to go by very quickly.
Yeah, as you said, 600 meters of race surface, and well, they were doing 25-second lap times whilst dawdling around there as part of the demonstration there for Pete. So it is most definitely going to be quick. Although, as you said, that lack of banking going to make things, I think, pretty interesting. As we're just waiting on the start of practice here in a second, as we just saw there on screen, a penalty carrying over from round number 2. Darcy Wilson will not be allowed to take part in qualifying, so we'll see the number 05 to 410 sprint car have to start at the back of heat number 4 for this evening, as we are just about to get into those 2 practice laps for all the drivers. As here you go, drivers out in practice now, getting their laps in, and this is what a lap at speed looks like here around Lucas Oil Race.
Yeah, indeed. Over in just a few seconds there for Tim Ryan. Clayton Davies setting the fastest time so far in practice. 12.5 seconds are the times that we're expecting there. We might go a little bit quicker in qualifying as Blaine Densley demonstrates how treacherous those tyres are on the inside. They come up almost half the height of the body of these sprint cars. So, my goodness, it's going to be very difficult for drivers to sling one up the inside in the races tonight.
Yeah, just gonna watch, as you said. Yeah, drivers going to have to mind the margins. Also watching drivers here at the moment, how they choose to navigate this track. As also variable lines, a part of the dirt oval racing action, as drivers just getting their last little bits of preparation in here, and final messages coming in from the race control team as well before we'll get into the quick time session here.
Yeah, Josh Walton saying let's put on a show for Pete, and definitely agree with that sentiment. It's going to be an interesting round here. Of course, Knoxville was a bit of an outlier for the first round, because we saw some rare mistakes and being involved in incidents for drivers that we would usually expect up the top. But of course, at round 2, Tim Ryan coming home with victory, and Clayton Davies, I believe, and Harry Stewart coming home with podiums in the feature as well. Out comes Braden Morosky, meanwhile, to again demonstrate a lap around here, sticking a bit low. You can see that the very low portion of the track is actually quite flat, but in turns 1 and 2 specifically, the banking is quite extreme up the top. So I would expect that as the night goes on, we'll be seeing drivers trying their best to run the top, but maybe sticking more to the inside in turns 3 and 4, because they want to be careful not to go over that apron if they run high. Yeah,
it is going to be interesting when he gets here. The fact we have that restriction on the apron up top is going to be interesting, and also just we're curious to watch the development of this track. As from what I can see in the track information for this evening, the track state will just be allowed to progressively develop all night long. So be curious to see, even after, say, the first heat here, how much of a change we'll see. You can see a lot of drivers opting, it looks like, to go low through the turns at the moment, try and get down to those tyre bundles for the most part, and then drive it out somewhat straight down these short straightaways here. We're really demonstrating that one there to the extremes, I have to say, by getting really down low and tight on the exit of turn 2. Similar at turn 4 there as well. Fire it down the front stretch. And that will be his first lap. Don't you get one more in here, Reese, and then that'll be his time, or his practice laps all complete here.
And you can see that drivers are looking for a car that's very pointy to negotiate the inside there at this track. But as they run higher, they'll undoubtedly be turning the rear wing back a little bit, as practice has been officially called there. Looks like Rob Crawley managing to break into the 11-second bracket, and the same for Harry Stewart as well. Let's keep an eye out for Rob Crawley, because he's looking pretty quick here tonight. And Josh Walton doing very well for himself as well in the 081, doing a 12.059. Here we are then. It is time for qualifying. Time for seeing who gets the quick time, who will start on pole position for each individual heat. Out comes Rob Crawley, emerging onto the racetrack all on his own, and all the drivers will be doing their laps at the same time here, but they won't be able to see each other. They all do solo laps here, because a full field of sprint cars attempting a qualifying session around here would result in no one getting a lap that they're satisfied with. Let's see how they go then, as Leo Heaton gets the first time on the board. 11.4 immediately eclipsed by Harry Stewart. 11.3. The times are looking way quicker than I expected here. Davies is going to take second overall. Sean Stevens moves up to P5, and then we see Harry Stewart improve to an 11.2. Seems that Tim Ryan is going to have his work cut out for him here if he wants to beat Stewart, but we shouldn't expect Ryan out until the last 30 seconds or so of the session.
Yeah, there's one thing that I've learned after watching only about half a dozen of these ODSE events is you always wait to see what Tim Ryan brings out of the bag at the end of, well, out of qualifying, as everyone else will put their times on the board now. For example, Riley Bilson jumped up to P2 there just a moment ago. Bo Nation moves himself to P5 in the 94 there to end his qualifying run. These low 11-second times, a couple of drivers probably not quite where they'd like to be, but as always, the heats system will make sure that we'll get these drivers all filtered through to figure out who gets the free pass to that A main, who has to go the long way through the C and B mains. As we wait for the last couple of drivers to finish their laps off. For example, here, Jaden Russell in the 27.
11.5.
Yeah. One lap down, one to go here. He's actually not quite 11.6. And then Nathan Vanderwacker, P2 in the standings so far after there have been 2 rounds. What can he do? Probably 088 in session, but 88 on the car. 88 is in the hands of Hobbo. End of Vanderwacker's first lap is going to be 11.298. That's going to jump up into, well, I say it's going to be P5 for now. That's how tightly stacked these times are here, Reese.
Yeah, and you see that Vanderwacker's actually running middle of the road as he improves to an 11.2 and goes up to P3. Series organizer Brady Baldwin into 4th place as well. We're seeing some really good times from drivers towards the end of this session. Tyler Bish finding out very quickly that's quite slippery down on the bottom. We're seeing drivers running roughly mid-track through the turns just because they get a nice little speed boost. And Bish, well, it seems he's not too happy with his session so far. Not able to get a time in. Here comes Tim Ryan, the championship leader, running high through 3 and 4. And on to his first hot lap here. How fast will he go? You see the track evolving here. There's a really big area of clay marbles there in the middle. At 11.5 for Tim Ryan's first lap, 18th. He's going to have to take another 3/10 out of that to try and get onto provisional pole, and goodness me, that was a lot of oversteer, but he's got it. Tim Ryan, despite that big slide out of turn 4, manages to get the quick time once again. And I believe that is 3 quick times out of 3 rounds so far for the number 98. So there are your results. Only 0.02 of a second separating Tim Ryan and Harry Stewart over an 11.25 second lap.
The times in this series are insanely small. And yeah, the fact that that's how it's going to play out there at the end of qualifying says a lot. So 8 drivers, 4 heats to work our way through, starting off with our fastest group. Tim Ryan will take the pole for heat number 1. He's sharing that front row with Riley Bilson in the number 95 machine. Row number 2 is going to be Richie McLeod in the 014. Alongside of him is John Schultz in the 78. It's going to be Brent Hobbs and Luke Payton on our 3rd row here for heat number 1 with Borden? Bowden?
Yeah,
Borden there. Apologies, Corey, for getting a little bit crisscrossed on that one there, with Tristan Yellen to round out our drivers in this first heat of 4. And as always, top 4 will get automatic progression through to the feature. So time to see who can convert their their qualifying times into a heat result here to get their racing underway tonight here, Reese.
Yeah, and of course, no cautions in the heats either. If you have a crash or spin out, that is your heat done. So they'll have to give each other a good amount of space here around Lucas Oil Speedway's clay oval. As they move away behind the pace truck, there will be 2 formation laps, and then Tim Ryan will lead them away. They've got to be wary of the restart zone rules as well. Make sure that you put the power down in the designated area, otherwise you will not have a good time with race control. And looking at the field for this one, I mean, it's looking quite interesting. Not only do we have, of course, Tim Ryan on the pole here, but Bilson, McLeod, and Schultz, they are surely looking to get a good result here as well. Brent Hobbs starting out of 5th. He'll be a factor in this one as well in the Beat the Dark car. And now we enter that 2nd formation lap. The pace truck has already come in, and Tim Ryan will enter the restart zone and get a start underway. Here we go then. Green flag flies, and we're racing at Lucas Oil. Ryan leads into turn 1. He is followed by Riley Bilson moving up into 2nd place. Richie McLeod holds on to 3rd. There's contact, and John Schultz into the wall. The rear wing broken off that car. And that was quite a difficult incident to negotiate. Not too sure who was at fault for that one, but there was definitely a big coming together. Tim Ryan still leading and putting down some very quick times here. The top 3 spreading out and breaking away from the rest of the field. Brent Hobbs moves up into 4th place, but he's getting chased down by Luke Payton for the transfer spot.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one here because everyone's spaced out after that incident, unfortunately, for Schultz and others too. It's leaving a handful of drivers now with damage as they work their way around the circuit. Already over halfway into heat number 1, and of course with the drivers going pretty flat out. In fact, Brent Hobbs actually getting a black flag off the back of that one there from the race control team. So unfortunately, the 64 is going to have to go a long way through to make it to the feature tonight, and that now therefore effectively promotes Payton to the final transfer spot. And with Tristan Yellen and Corey Borden about to be lapped by Tim Ryan, no pressure on him to wrap this one up here tonight.
Yep, final lap, and Tim Ryan only has 1 corner to go as he powers his way towards the start-finish line. Tim Ryan will win the first heat of the night here at Lucas Oil. Bilson and McLeod complete the podium. However, Brent Hobbs, despite crossing the line in 4th, will be put to the back of the field thanks to that black flag. He was deemed at fault for the incident that took out John Schultz there in P8. So there are your corrected results. Luke Payton moves through to the feature with Ryan, Bilson and McLeod. So Borden, Yelland, Hobbs and Schultz will have to work their way through the C main for any chance of competing in the feature tonight. Time for Heat 2. Harry Stewart is going to lead this one up, starting alongside Josh Barry. It's Nathan Norman and Daniel Boyd who take up the 2nd row. And then we have Braden Morosky and Luke Wilson on row 3. Final row is going to be Thomas Mitchell and Nathan Allen in the number 2 and the number 83. very colourful field here as they make their way towards the start of this heat. And looking at this field, Dan, I would expect Harry Stewart to run away with this much like Tim Ryan did, but as we saw, anything can happen.
Yep, never say never in a bunch of dirt sprint cars. It only takes one minor slip up or someone else making an advantageous attempt to cause a bit of drama here, but all the same, yeah, Harry Stewart should be in a pretty strong position here to convert this second fastest time of the night into a transfer to the feature. But as always, we have to wait and see. They'll round turns 3 and 4 into that start zone there between the tyre bundles on the inside, and Stewart bolts away at the front from Barry, who is sharing the front row. He's now got to worry about Norman and Boyd, who starting to scrap at Morosky too. Watch out for him. As they all work. That's all mixed up wrong. Let's get that back there. Stewart, Barry, Boyd, Norman, your top four, but Luke Wilson looking in from the outside at the back end of that number 96 and fighting over that transfer spot.
Yeah, Nathan Norman didn't get the start that he wanted there, losing that position to Daniel Boyd, and now it looks like third, fourth and fifth all together on the track, and it looks like actually a four-way battle here for second place as Josh Barry can't quite get away from these guys. Stewart's not exactly skipping away either as they enter the fifth lap of this race in a few moments. That is a change for position there. Daniel Boyd forced up into the wall there. Nathan Norman trying desperately to hold on to a position in the top three. Well, now Luke Wilson moves into P4 in that number 9 car with Daniel Boyd on the outside looking in. Thomas Mitchell starting to catch up to them, but they'll only have 2 laps to go when they cross the line next. Not much time to get this sorted as that's a bit too far up the track there for Luke Wilson. He is going to lose the spot to Daniel Boyd. Big changes for the top 4 as the white flag flies. This has been a bit more of a crazy heat so far. Only 1 lap to go now. Looks like Harry Stewart has got this one sorted as he rounds the last couple of corners towards the start-finish line. It's close for 4th, but ultimately it will go to Daniel Boyd by 4/10.
Yeah, that was a good scrap there in heat number 2. Unfortunately there, as you said, for Luke Wilson, goes in too deep and promotes Boyd to the final transfer spot there. And just like that, straight on in to heat number 3. So Braden Shute will have the inside here on this one, sharing that front row with Clayton Davies in the number 50. It'll be Cameron De Bruin starting out of P3 next, sharing row 2 with Cooper Wilson. P5, Travis Parrott. Got Aston Hurley alongside in the number 99. The P6, and your final 2 drivers, this one going to the 88 of Brenton Hobson and Nash Granger in the 25 as they get rolling here off the grid. But of course, 2 formation laps, so plenty of time to sort this one out here. And having a quick look at the track state at the moment, Reese, I mean, we have removed a bit of the dirt there from, well, the bottom. It's all kind of smoothed out to this lighter coloured surface, but not seeing much more than that just yet. It's getting a little slick down the bottom of turns 3 and 4, but, well, wait and see how much that develops over the next couple of heats.
Yes, as more cars are putting more force into that clay, we'll see quite a bit more of a groove form. You start to see one forming a little bit in the middle of turns 1 and 2 there. So drivers will have to be careful not to run completely middle of the road, otherwise they'll get a big slide on. You're always searching for fresher clay, more moist clay that has more grip in these cars. All right, here we go then. Braden Shute leads them away. The green flag flies. That was a messy start, though, and it looks like Brenton Hobson and Travis Parrott came together at the rear of the field. There's a move for the lead. Meanwhile, Braden Davies smacks into Braden Shute. That causes a bit of a pile up there, and I think the black flag will be coming for Clayton Davies, but he's already escaped back to the pit lane. So we have a very messed up order here. Aston Hurley leads from Cameron De Bruin, and the number 14 of Cooper Wilson coming together with Travis Parrott up on top. Brenton Hobson moving up into the transfer spot. So the start wasn't the end of the world for him.
Yeah, in fact, he actually had an iRacing black flag due to issues at the start, it seems. Because, to be honest, I think the leader on the start of that one there, which count back to who that was meant to be there in the heat, Braden Shute, I think he went a little late, if I'm honest, considering the start zone was marked as in the middle of basically turns 3 and 4 there. But alas, it happened, and now Hobbo, having been entangled on lap number 1, and I thought he was out of this one, now is still in a transfer spot, but he's got Travis Parrott scrapping with him here to take it 3rd and 4th, but you've also got Nash Granger and Cooper Wilson just in behind. 2 to go here, Reese, as they try and figure out who's going to make it straight through to the feature.
Yeah, Travis Parrott overtakes Brenton Hobson for 3rd, but Hobbo's going to try and dip under here. They make contact. Hobbo holds onto it. What a fight this is for the transfer spot on the final lap. Cameron De Bruin actually making it into the lead here, and he is going to take victory, and that's a big coming together. Nash Granger moves into 4th, Cooper Wilson on his roof, and Travis Parrott, unfortunately, with some damage from that as well. That is a lot of work for race control to do. Clayton Davies, of course, already getting a black flag there, but he ended up retiring. De Bruin, Hurley, Hobson, and Granger will move through to the feature, but will we see that result altered with black flags in play? Travis Parrott given a black flag for that ending incident. Nathan van der Wacker is going to start on the pole for the first heat here. He's followed by Bo Nation on the first row. Starting out of 3rd is going to be Leo Heaton. He has got Jaden Russell alongside him, part of the Synergy Sim Racing crew. Teammate, of course, Daniel Gow behind him, with Nick Ryan starting the number 7 out of P6. Final row is going to be Daniel Nickel and Tyler Bish. Now, we're going to get a quick replay of what happened here at the end of Heat 3. A magnificent 4-way battle, but we'll see that Travis Parrott actually ends up getting too much of a slide on there and ends up oversteering in front of the next 3. So that's very unfortunate, just losing the rear. And for the starting infringement that you noted, Dan, it looks like Braden Shute has been given a points penalty by race control.
Yeah, Shute unable to... apologies, yeah, as I thought I saw, didn't go inside the zone, just a little bit too late. It checked up the outside lane and caused all sorts of drama there on lap number 1. And, well, we're hoping we won't see that one again there. But as the field comes down to the start zone here in the middle of 3 and 4 between those 2 white tyre bundles. There we go. Van der Wacker jumps in the middle. We go green as expected. Heat number 4 underway. We've already got 3 wide here in 1 and 2. Jaden Russell trying to look outside the nation, has to flick back inside and checks up.
Leo Heaton moving up to 2nd as well. Bo Nation moves back into 3rd. There's a coming together at the back. Tyler Bish and Nick Ryan both into the wall, but they end up getting going again. Van der Wacker leading by nearly a second here. This is a pretty good run from the 88, with Leo Heaton now under threat from Bo Nation and Daniel Gow. Gow holds on to the transfer spot. Jaden Russell will be chasing him down. Gow moves up to 3rd, but for how long? The slide job means that Bo Nation now has the inside for the next corner.
Back and forth on the slide, and Gow not able to get the job done. Tries to go up the inside, but Jaden Russell actually going to displace Gow there as Nation continue to try and hold on. No! Russell in the back of Nation. Both cars hang on, but they're going to get the tyre on the inside.
No.
It clips the leader. Is that the leader? No, that's not quite the leader, thankfully, but my word, here comes the leaders now, and they clear the track just in time. It got involved there with Nick Ryan and Tyler Bish were the 2 that clipped that car there, so it's Daniel Nickel in the number 18 who moves himself into the final transfer spot here, Reese, as we come to the white flag, for the leader at least, in this final heat of 4.
Wow. Oh, what drama there is in the heats here tonight at Lucas Oil Speedway. Van der Wacker is going to cruise to victory here. He leads by 2.7 seconds at the line. Leo Heaton is going to hold off Daniel Gow for second. And there is Daniel Nickel taking up the final transfer spot. Goodness me, Bo Nation and Jaden Russell, you would have expected them to be fighting for that top four, but that very messy coming together delegates them back to 7th and 8th. Tyler Bish and Nick Ryan took the checkered flag, but they too will have to work their way through the C main. All right, everybody, it's time for the 5th and final heat here tonight. It's going to be led by the number 7, Brady Baldwin, owner of Oceanic Dirt Sim Events, starting off the first place with Josh Walton alongside him. Blaine Densley is going to share the second row with Sean Stevens, with Braden Miller and Cole Ferguson starting off the third row. Fourth and final row will be Robert Crawley and Darcy Wilson, who, as we pointed out at the top of the night, was not allowed to take part in qualifying for infringements last round. We'll get a quick replay while these drivers are touring around on their formation laps at just what happened here with Jaden Russell and Bo Nation. They just came together up the top of the circuit, and then they had no steering, and then into the tire they both went. Oh, that could have been a lot worse.
It sure could have. And yeah, we got very lucky there that it took out a car that, unfortunately for the particular driver in that case, they weren't in contention at that point, so it didn't affect the major results. But yeah, just trying to go around the outside there of turn 2 was definitely seemed a little ambitious, and unfortunately Nation and Russell both paid the price as a result. So let's see here with our final 8 drivers, which makes this one of the bigger races I've seen in ODSE. 40 drivers total tonight. Getting out here to race for Pete as we into the start zone, and Baldwin cuts down low. He's going to break away at the front as we go green one final time in the heats, and then, oh my word, the 81 of Walton had to slide it up the middle of the track to avoid the pressure from Densley, but inside of 3 and 4 comes the slider. Not going to make the move as there's no gap between the top 2 at the line at the end of lap 1.
Oh, fantastic racing up at the front. But the excuse me, the transfer spot is the one we should worry about. Braden Miller holds on to it in car number 2, but there's some dicing for 5th and 6th. Sean Stevens versus Cole Ferguson trying their best to work their way forward, but not having much luck at the moment. There goes Ferguson up the inside, and here we go. This is where they want to be. He doesn't want to be racing side by side for too long. They just cannot get an eye into Blaine Densley, who's trying his best to hold on to the transfer spot. It looks like Josh Walton and Braden Miller moved on through as they make contact.
Well, yeah, Walton up in second from the get-go, but a wonderful slider from Miller about 3 laps ago now meant he got past at turns 3 and 4, and now Walton looks to be struggling a bit, Race. I've seen him actually got the fence about a lap or so ago, as Miller's going to try and cut back down on the exit of 2 here. Goes for the slider here through 3 and 4. Will take that place away as they come to the line, but can Walton respond in turn? Well, he will, but now this is Miller's turn to go up high and again cut back down on the exit as Densley is still hanging on to the transfer here as they come to the white flag for the last time in the heats this evening. And I think Densley is safe as we continue to watch this scrap for second.
Fantastic racing between the two of them. They will be separated by almost nothing at the line here. At the end of lap 8, the slider from Josh Walton, he hits the wall and he goes careening across the start-finish line there. Will take third place. Brady Baldwin winning by a full second over everyone else, with Blaine Densley taking up the final transfer spot there. Ferguson, Stevens, Wilson and Crawley, we're going to be seeing them again pretty much right away as we move through into the C main. 10 cars will take the start for this 10-lap race, headed up by Brent Hobbs and Braden Morosky. Braden Shute is going to take up the second row alongside Bo Nation, with Darcy Wilson rounding out the top 5, joined on the third row by John Schultz in the number 78. Nathan Allen is going to start 7th alongside Clayton Davies, the big outlier in this field. We would have expected him to have already made his way through to the feature by now. Same for Jaden Russell and potentially Rob Crawley as well, who topped the practice session. All right, it's time to get this start underway. A few more cars taking to the green flag here. But of course, 2 more laps to sort themselves out. And again, there's no cautions until we get to the feature. So the drivers will have to be careful to give each other room. But here's the thing, Dan. They are not racing for transfer spots into the feature here. They're racing for transfer spots into the B main as Brent Hobbs escapes back to the pits on the formation lap. That is a big blow there for Hobbs. Looks like he is going to not take any further part here tonight because, yeah, you're racing for the right to race in the B main here. The top 4 will transfer through, but it doesn't mean you'll get through to the feature.
No, this is now the do-or-die elimination races for all these drivers. And yeah, unfortunate to see that Brent's decided that after an EOL penalty for incident in his heat earlier on, that he will take no further part. So it will be the number 59 of Braden Shute to lead them off the inside, sharing that row with Braden Morosky. We go green for the C main here. That's going to be, well, the number 5 of Darcy Wilson getting up into P2 as contact on the exit of turn 2. He's going to send a couple of cars wide there. Morosky, the big loser, back to P9 as it's going to be Shute, Wilson, Russell and Nathan Allen who take the transfer spots at the end of lap 1 here. But 9 laps of racing still to go around Lucas Oil, and it looks like elbows are most certainly ready to go out as Wilson's trying to go around the outside of 4 up towards that top apron there.
Yeah, good stuff. But Bo Nation is now leaning on the transfer spot here. Nathan Allen keeping it middle of the road, trying to keep Nation behind him, and Bo is slipping around there on the slick clay, and it looks like Jaden Russell's having just as many troubles there as well. Nathan Allen given a black flag for that infringement that put Braden Morosky to the back of the field. So he won't be racing for 4th on the road here. Look at them coming through on Nathan Allen now. There goes Bo Nation up into 4th, and taps off Nathan Allen. Clayton Davies gets involved in that as well. And I think that might be the end of the night there for Clayton. It looks like he's got some trouble with the front right.
Yeah, suspension is absolutely fried, and just as he was lining up to try and get into position there to challenge for a transfer spot, just big old slide for Allen through turn 4, getting into the slick there in the middle of the corner, and just unable to correct, loses a whole bunch of speed, and around he goes and out of this race fully. And so, Wilson, Shute, Russell, and Nation, now your drivers in the transfer spots as we're looking at the fight. For P5, John Schultz ahead of Rob Crawley for now, but with so much slick on the road, it looks like it's going to be a very busy racetrack here with, well, just a lap to go already with all that chatter there, Reese. Your leaders have taken the white flag here in the C main.
They have, and it looks like Bo Nation is safe in the transfer spot for 4th for the time being as Darcy Wilson will come across the line to win. And, whoa, there looks like there was a coming together there potentially between Shute and Russell.
Yeah, there was. Russell tried to go around the outside of a Shute in the final corner, and he nearly put himself in the wall. He hangs on to his 3rd place finish in that race, but that could have easily been a whole lot worse. When really consolidation was simply the name of the game for that one there. So, confirmation that Wilson, Shute, Russell, and Nation will continue on here and join the drivers in the B main to see if they can make it through to the end of it. Here is what it looked like to 3 and 4 on that final lap, and you can see here, Shute does drift up there on Russell. And, well, didn't look like he was too pleased with it there based on what he did on the exit of turn 2 there, Reese.
Not too happy at all. Well, here we go then. This is the field for the B main. Corey Borden and Luke Wilson on that front row. Cooper Wilson will share the 2nd row with Tyler Bish. Then it's Cole Ferguson and Tristan Yelland rounding out the top 6 In 7th place, it's going to be Thomas Mitchell. Travis Parrott will start there in 8th, but he will take an end-of-line penalty before the green flag. He'll be starting from the back. Nick Ryan and Sean Stevens the next row, and then we have Darcy Wilson, Braden Shute, the top 2 from the C main, followed by Jaden Russell and Bo Nation bringing up the rear. 14 cars and 12 laps to decide who will get into the top 4 and transfer through to the feature.
Yep, fields get ever bigger as a result of the process, but we've still got a 24-car feature to come our way to, well, bring things to a close for this evening. So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to say the least. There's instructions for the drivers to go bunch up behind Borden and Wilson here. We'll see how they take the start of the C-Main, because it is a very slick track. There's only a couple of bits of grip left out here. It's going to be right at the end of the start zone. Good jump, though, from Borden on the inside. We go green. But contact in the middle of the field already, Reese.
Oh, yeah, looks like Braden Shute, one of the cars involved in that, as well as Thomas Mitchell, who brings up the rear. And already we see a 5-way fight for the lead of this race. Up the inside goes Luke Wilson to take the race lead, but steaming around the outside is Tyler Bish to take the lead. What a move.
Just hangs it up on the edge of the apron there. And he makes it work. Oh no! Teammates collide across the start-finish line, and Jaden Russell gets clipped as
Polster to Borden. He's out.
Yeah, and has unfortunately gone from a rough to tough, and yeah, in the wall there as try and settle down and recalibrate for a moment. Already though, lap 4 of 12, which means you don't have long to keep hustling forward. Your top 4: Bish, Wilson, Cooper, Luke Wilson 3rd, Sean Stevens to round out those spots, but currently Darcy Wilson trying to really hustle and stay on the back of Stevens here, but then you've also got Nick Ryan and Jaden Russell coming together now as they all bunch up here and start to make their charge forward, Reese.
Indeed, Sean Stevens holds on to that final transfer spot. He's got 3 cars behind him looking to get it done. Here's the onboard from Nick Ryan, who runs in 7th place right now. Stevens is going to the inside, but that doesn't seem to be working out for him. More momentum on the outside will bring Darcy Wilson into the top 4 on lap 7. This is going to come down to the wire.
100%. Outside is the fast line around here at the moment. If you can get it on the very edge of the apron, you are going to walk away.
Russell!
And Nick Ryan gets clipped.
Oh, that's a real shame. Jaden Russell and Nick Ryan both out of contention now as we rapidly approach the final quarter of this race. Tyler Bish has a huge lead right now. He doesn't have to deal with any pressure behind. Cooper and Luke Wilson rounding out the podium at the moment, with Darcy Wilson trying his best to keep a good gap between himself and Sean Stevens, who's just there in the background. It seems to me that the race result is mostly settled, but we still have another lap to go after this one. Change for position for 6. Braden Shute gets past Cole Ferguson, but that's not going to mean anything, unfortunately, for those drivers. It's only the top 4 who go through into the feature. Checkered flag, and Tyler Bish will come across the line to win the B main. Cooper Wilson and Luke Wilson will make the podium, with Darcy Wilson taking up 4th, and he will start plumb last for the feature coming up very shortly. So there are your full race results, your top 10. Looked like 9 cars got to the end of the race there. Unfortunately, seeing retirements from Jaden Russell, Nick Ryan, Thomas Mitchell, Bo Nation, and Corey Borden, who started on the pole. That is going to sting for the number 7.
Yeah, it will. Definitely a real case of what could have been, as that will now mean we take, well, we've got a 10-minute warm-up session, but I do believe we will probably progress through it slightly earlier. Track, though, currently closed by race control. So what you see there right now is what we're going to get for the track state heading into the feature at this current moment. And, well, That was pretty chaotic, and that was only 14 sprint cars. We're about to go and send 24 of them out onto the track for our feature race for the evening here, Reese. This, well, could go one of two ways.
Certainly could. I mean, considering the amount of chaos that we've seen in the races leading up to this, I think we're potentially headed towards a feature that's going to have at least a few cautions, but we'll find out very shortly. We're going to step aside for just a moment here on SimSpeed TV before we bring the feature to you here. Round 3 of the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 410 Thunder Series presented by Hobbs Trenching and Boring. We're racing for Pete. We'll be back in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.
You're watching SimSpeed TV. This is round 3 of the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 410 Thunder Series from Lucas Oil Speedway, racing for Pete tonight. As we saw at the top of the broadcast, we saw a couple of tribute laps being run, and we're going to be seeing those from the dark cars out again as we check out the drone cam, seeing how the track has worn in by some margin. Dan, this is going to be a very challenging track to find the fastest way around when they get into the feature. But there they are, a 3-wide salute for Pete Hobbs, of course, the owner of Hobbs Trenching and Boring. His son Brent was racing tonight. Unfortunately, will not take part in the feature, but still out there and showing support for his dad, who is battling bladder cancer at the moment.
Yeah. Great to be able to support the tribute to Pete here with the broadcast this evening, and all the drivers out on track also putting the Racing for Pete purple and yellow ribbon that we've got top right of your screen on their cars as well. And a chance here for these 3 drivers to also go around and give us a moment before we get into the feature. And well, yeah, as we watch them here from this lovely little drone shot that producer Jay Kennedy has put together, and just having a look at the state of the circuit, yeah, these corners are going to be nasty bits of work. It looks like there's a tiny bit of maybe not so slick clay right up against the edge of the apron, and well, that looked to be sort of paying dividends in that B main in particular there, I would suggest. Because that high line was quite quick around the top if you needed to try and get a move done. But we're curious to see if drivers sort of transition their way down towards the bottom and use as much of the inside as we can, as it is now time to head to the feature race. 24 drivers going to line up on this grid, starting, of course, with our heat winners. Tim Ryan taking the pole position. He'll be sharing the front row with Harry Stewart in the number 11. Cameron De Bruin out of P3, going to be sharing row number 2 with Nathan van der Wacker. And then it'll be Brady Baldwin and Riley Bilson to round out your top 6 there. Josh Barry, Aston Hurley will share the 4th row here on the grid tonight with Leo Heaton and Braden Miller to round out our top 10. And the first half of the grid race is going to be rounded out by Richie McLeod there in 11th and Nathan Norman in 12th.
Starting out a lucky 13th will be Brenton Hobson, joined by Daniel Gow on the 7th row, with 6th row, sorry, with 7th row, with Josh Walton and Luke Payton taking up the row behind. Daniel Boyd and Nash Granger going to be starting 17th and 18th, with the top 20 rounded out by Daniel Nickel and Blaine Densley. Then we have our top 4 from the B main. Tyler Bish and Cooper Wilson taking up the 11th row of the grid. And then final row, Luke Wilson and Darcy Wilson. Let's see how far up they can get, because this front row definitely quite stacked, with Tim Ryan and Harry Stewart going to be leading them away. We also have, of course, Nathan van der Wacker in 4th. He is 2nd in the standings coming into this round, so this is going to be a very crucial round for him.
It absolutely will, as we get ready to roll off here. I believe Tim Ryan has chosen to take the inside for the race start here, as per the heats and the CMB main. Of course, choosing of the line is the one thing for the feature, is he'll drop the hammer halfway through the start zone, gets a beautiful jump on Stewart as we go green here for the feature at Lucas Oil.
Look at how slick the track is. Everybody struggling for grip out there. The top 2 breaking away, with 3rd place currently held by Cameron De Bruin, but again steaming around the outside. It's Nathan van der Wacker this time. Gets up into 4th and is looking at 3rd as Brady Baldwin protects the inside. Good start for Baldwin, up 2 places now from where he started. Executed that start perfectly. Already got a spinner. That looks like Brenton Hobson, unfortunately, that has fallen to the rear of the field. But have a look at how they fan out. This is amazing, seeing how much space there is on this track, but just how tight the racing is.
It is all kinds of elbows out. Slide jobs central now with all the slick. Couple of drivers opting for the highline, but for the majority, it seems, going down low and trying to cover your inside. It seems to be the play, because, to be honest, actually, the highline, as it wears out, well, then you're just running around a further part of the track, and that's not going to help you when it comes to be able to protect your spot, even if you can carry a tiny bit more speed. As, in fact, speaking of which, I can see van der Wacker is hanging on to 4th, but only just because Brady Baldwin trying to fight it off. But we've got further on back here, 3, if not 4.
Harry Stewart
into 1 and 2. Yeah, Harry Stewart indeed in the dirt there. What has happened to the number 11?
Oh, he stayed green. He managed to get off onto the apron. He does get back going. That's a real shame for Stewart, as there's further contact, and looks to me like number 88 and Nathan van der Wacker trying his best to hold off Leo Heaton. Goodness me, this has been quite the turn of events. The driver that started 2nd, spinning off the circuit, and actually, I noticed it's because he hit one of the tires on the inside. Oh, here we go. We might see our first caution with Tyler Bish vaulting over. Then he's already gone back to the pit lane. Ended up getting into the wall on the outside. And that was partially thanks to big contact with Nathan Norman. So we'll check out what brought out the caution first, and then I think we'll see what happened to Harry Stewart, who's now down in 22nd place. An absolute disaster for the number 11.
Yeah, he's got a very long race ahead of him here if he wants to be able to make his way back up. As here is the incident that's unfortunately sent, oh dear me, got contact in the rear on the way down the front stretch, and that's really destabilized the car into turns 1 and 2. To be honest, a little more than I thought it would, but alas, that will bring out the caution. As, of course, the other thing here with the racing in the feature and cautions is that don't count the laps while we circulate. A couple of fast repairs taken, it would seem, here, Reese, as well as we're going to see Harry Stewart on the replay. Is up high in 3 and 4, but as you said, gets a tyre in a second. Oh, not much, but that's all it has to be to send him around.
Yeah, and it looks like the right rear clobbered the tyre side on as well. These suspension linkages don't do very well with that kind of contact, so no surprise to see that Harry Stewart's gone in to take a fast repair in the pits, as well as Nathan Norman, Cooper Wilson, and Brenton Hobson as well, falling outside the order. Restarts have been changed to single file as well, so hopefully we'll get a nice clean start here. Tim Ryan leads them away, then the green flag flies. We are back to racing to start the 10th lap here at Lucas Oil. And it looks like Brady Baldwin's holding on nicely on the inside. He is really sticking to the inside of those corners there, looking for any bit of fresh clay he possibly can. All about getting the best exit possible onto these straights. Nathan Vanderwacker under threat for third meanwhile. Looks like Leo Heaton is really pressuring him as the field fans out behind. Just behind them, Josh Barry in 5th place, and this is the view that Nathan Vanderwacker will be dealing with. Contact made, and oh goodness, Leo Heaton, he manages to get back going, but it doesn't seem like too big of an incident, all things considered. He can still fight back from here, but he's right in the pack now.
There's all kinds of bedlam in this pack. I'm watching big old slide jobs being thrown from 6 miles back, as the description would suggest. I've also just seen as Darcy Wilson possibly getting into the left rear of one of the cars mid-pack. They somehow don't cause dramas. Aston Hurley just chops the nose of, I think it might have been Nash Granger, and we avoid too much palaver apart from a bit of contact. It's absolute bedlam because, yeah, drivers throwing it in from 6 miles back, trying to stay in the tiny bit of clay that is still somewhat fresh. Oh, there's the caution. Inside of turn 2 is going to bring this one to a halt, as it's Luke Payton and Josh Walton that have got stuck together on the inside there, and looks like they are not coming apart anytime soon, Reese.
Yeah, Payton and Walton. Let's see what happened between them. Focusing on the number 54 and coming into the turn. This is where it happened. Oh, just trying to set himself in there, but looked like we had the number 88 of Vanderwacker coming down and making it 3 wide. And you know, once you commit to a corner in these cars, that's it. You can't do much to alter your trajectory because you have to slide these things to get through the turns.
Yeah, it's the risky gambit, as it were, around this place, it seems, because, yeah, we've got drivers 2 wide already, then trying to slide in, find a spot where you can as well, and it becomes 3 wide pretty quickly here, as we'll carry under caution for at least another lap here, as just hearing a bit of chatter over the race, drivers trying to sort themselves out and check in how their cars are going. All right, so we were potentially going to go green soon, but looks like race control is giving us giving themselves an extra moment to make sure everything is where it should be here before we restart this one, because after a good opening run there, we're now at the halfway mark when we restart this one race. And, well, how time flies when we're having fun here on the dirt.
Yeah, not having fun is Tyler Bish, though. 5 minutes in the pits. It looks like he's our sole retirement from the race so far. And it seems Harry Stewart, Nathan Norman, and Cooper Wilson are all a lap down on everyone else right now. So it's going to be difficult for those 3 to come back here. Stewart will be absolutely ruining those tyres on the inside of the turns here. Were it not for that, he might well be fighting with Tim Ryan for the race win. But as it stands, Brady Baldwin is Tim Ryan's closest competitor. And I have to give a shout out to Brady. He was able to keep pretty close to Tim Ryan on that last green flag run.
He was, yeah. It was a little shorter than our opening stanza, but yeah, certainly was the case that we were going. And we were told it should restart this lap, but no, Pace Truck stays out for one more. So it'll be one more time around, because seeing some interesting stuff from Harry Stewart at the moment. I wonder if, but you know, there is race control commands in the chat, so that shouldn't be causing too much chaos there. But yeah, from 24 down to effectively 20 drivers that are still in it, I would suggest, with 3 of those drivers trapped, as there we go, Pace Truck will make its hard right turn, and now we await the procession back to the restart zone in turn 4 here. We'll see when Tim Ryan chooses to go.
Yeah, a little bit more chat from race control. All right, here we go then. Green flag flies, and we are away. Tim Ryan holds on to the lead very nicely. It seems he's got that car sorted. That Altus Esports machine is nigh unbeatable at the moment. Brady Baldwin still holds on to second, but he's losing a bit of ground to Tim Ryan. Josh Barry and Riley Bilson starting to catch up to him. Add Braden Miller into that as well. Looks like the top 5 breaking away. Everyone from 6th on back, though, is looking decidedly pacey, with Richie McLeod heading up this 2-wide battle pack. This contact on the inside between Nathan Vanderwacker and Daniel Gow. Gow gets the better exit and quickly leaves the scene of the crime, as it were. Darcy Wilson holding on to the outside there, and he's going to jet towards the front of this pack. See Daniel Boyd now catching up to Richie McLeod in the number 79, but vaulting around the outside goes Darcy Wilson. Remember, he wasn't able to qualify. He started last in the last heat, and he has had to work his way through the B main and the feature, or the C and the B main rather, to get to the feature, and he is making a very good case for himself here. He is up, wow, get this, 18 positions.
Yep, that is our biggest mover forward of the evening, and is just the tiniest bit of good clay up the top that he can still work with through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's helping him keep that momentum whilst everyone else, I think, is more or less resorted to the slick in the middle. No one daring to get right down near the tyres after what happened to Harry Stewart. And speaking of Harry, I think there actually was potentially an issue with those 3 drivers who they actually went into the pits to get fast repair in, and potentially somehow ended up a lap down when they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a bit of an issue there due to the no laps under caution rule. I think also throwing a curveball as we look here at Vanderwacker. He's had a torrid time on this 3rd stint of the race. He was up in P6 when we went green here, and now down, way down in P15 as this group here towards the front of that top 6 and co pack. They get going at it here through 1 and 2 as we're approaching 5 laps to go. Tim Ryan this time, though, Reese, he has most definitely checked out.
Yeah, he has indeed. Leads by 3 seconds over Josh Barry, who's just taken 2nd place from Brady Baldwin, but Brady switches back and takes 2nd place back. There goes Barry, vaulting it round the outside. A little bit of fresh clay there on the exit that he could use, but Brady is looking very comfortable on that inside line. He's so smooth and controlled here. Of course, very experienced in sprint cars, both in the real and sim world, as is the case for most of the drivers in this series. And oh, he is really pushing, isn't he? They have to work with lap traffic as well. Aston Hurley there in P18 has to give these guys a wide berth as they work their way through. We are coming up to 3 laps to go now, and the feature will be over very soon. Car number 13, oh, easy.
That's Darcy Wilson in the wall on the outside of 3 and 4 there. And for the same time, on the other side, caution comes out on 29.
Oh, okay. This is significant. So we're going to have a 2-lap sprint, I think, to the end of the race here. Braden Miller was the one who brought out the caution there, up in the wall. And Miller was running in 6th when the caution came out. Looks to me like it was big contact with Daniel Gow. And Gow, I think, has decided just about to call it a night. No, actually, he's managed to keep going from this incident. Check this out. So Gow, in the purple car, will come up around the outside, and then Braden Miller's just like, oh, goodness, where did you come from?
Yeah, minding his business with the state of the track and all kinds of conundrums here. And actually, we've had a lot of drivers go a lap down all of a sudden, and that has caused a bit of an interesting situation here for this one. Because, yeah, now we've got the drivers trying to sort themselves out when it comes to positioning here to get the lead lap cars. All front as we go look on board here with Richie McLeod. He just avoids that one from being much worse in his case, although that looked a little bit scrappy as pace truck's already pulled in, and this is a green-white checkered one attempt here, or one attempt of one to finish the feature race off here at Lucas Oil. Ryan goes about as late as you dare here within the start zone, but he might have just made that one work, as here we go. Who can make the high line work at the end of this one here? Who's going to stay down low and try and hang on to their spots? As this Stewart's going to go around the outside. Now, we'll have to see what the results say at the end of the race, because he's pushing here to try and get somewhat near the end of this one as they take the white flag. This race is staying official, agreeing to the end.
Yeah, here we go then. Tim Ryan is almost going to take it here, but it is on here as they cross the line side by side. Up ahead, Tim Ryan and Harry Stewart. Now, I did hear some chatter from race control. I think he was talking, Liam James, to the drivers that were put a lap down, where you finish, and then I missed the rest. I think I'm not going to say that this is what's happening. This is my interpretation of it. They might be saying that they'll count the results as to where they finished on track, as opposed to on the timing screen. But there are your results for drivers as they finished on the timing screen. Ryan, of course, taking the feature victory, with Josh Barry and Brady Baldwin completing the podium. Bilson and Boyd rounding out the top 5. Then it's Gow, McLeod, Heaton, Walton and Densley for your top 10.
Yeah, it's been quite the interesting race here tonight. P11 goes to Nash Granger, and then Cameron De Bruin and Braden Miller, your final drivers to finish this race on the lead lap. The attrition most certainly looks a little high here, as then you've got the next couple of drivers, Brenton Hobson 14th, Daniel Nickel 15th, Nathan Vander Wacker 16th, and Aston Hurley in 17th, all ending up one lap down on your leaders. Harry Stewart ends up 2 laps down in all of this one here, with Cooper Wilson sharing that 2-lap down distinction as well for him, unfortunately, with your 18th and 19th place drivers. And then P20 Darcy Wilson 4 laps down in the end. He shares 4 laps down with Luke Wilson there in 21st. And then our drivers retiring, Luke Payton, Nathan Norman and Tyler Bish to round out the results. And with that, we will go to interviews. I think we can safely pull Tim Ryan in as the race winner, and I'll hand over to you, Reese, to have a chat to the man at the top of the table tonight.
Indeed. Hello, Tim. That looked like a bit of an interesting one all night. Of course, I mean, typical for you in terms of results. Starting from pole in your heat, winning that and going straight through to the feature, which we presume you have finished in first place for. So, yeah, looking like a very good night out there.
Yeah, for sure. It was a pretty boring night, with us not being able to run the top of the turns 3 and 4. So it really made the track quite one lane along the bottom, and it made it quite hard to pass, because I was very lucky starting off the front. But if I didn't qualify well, which you probably saw the lap as you saw, Reece, it was pretty ordinary. But lucky enough just to do enough. But yeah, it was pretty locked down in the bottom there in the feature. And then, yeah, Harry was just ripping the top of the racetrack where we weren't allowed to run.
Yeah, I noticed that on the final lap in particular. Stewart was in the out-of-bounds area. Well, regardless, I think that's going to be a lot of work for the stewards to do coming out of this round.
Yeah, I'm not too fast on it. I'm going to give, as I was mixed the weeks up last week, actually going on my holiday next week. So that will be definitely the round that I miss. But yeah, Speed Factory 1-2. Josh was a customer on my setup tonight, so he did really well. So well done to him, especially with how little he gets to jump on. So that's not a bad result. And yeah, so should be back in probably maybe 2 weeks, possibly 3.
All right, well, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you when you come back, Tim. Anyone that you'd like to thank for another really good result before we let you go?
I'd like to thank you guys for putting the broadcast on. You're definitely guys are the best of the business. Everyone at ODSE Esports, Simon, he does a fantastic job of obviously managing the team and sorting everything out. Our partners, VRS, Cube Controls, Logitech G, Astro Gaming, Race Tech Seats, and obviously my setup business, Speed Factory. To have customers that are paying their own money running up the very front is quite fitting.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks very much for joining us, Tim. Enjoy your break, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You too. Thanks, mate.
All right, Tim Ryan, part of that Altus Esports crew. We also have Josh Barry on the podium here tonight. Dan's going to have a chat to him.
Will indeed. And welcome to the interview room here, Josh. And did yourself a pretty good job tonight up there in heat number 2 to start the night off. Get the transfer through to the feature and then work your way forward from P7 there over the course of 30 laps.
Yeah, g'day guys. Yeah, overall, pretty good night. Haven't really been on the sim much lately. It's been actually probably a couple of months, so to jump on and have a good run like that, it's always fun. Makes you want to come back.
Yeah, good to hear that indeed. Well, we obviously just had a chat with Tim. Another good night for him, able to stay up front. Your experience though, what's that like there around a track like here at Lucas Oil? We saw a couple of drivers trying to really rip up near the top of the apron there. Although in the feature, a lot of you guys seem to be sort of going down to the bottom to try and find the little bit of a good track down on the inside there. And just sort of working your way forward, what was that sort of like from your cockpit perspective this evening?
Yeah, you just got to calculate your risks. Racing at the front with those guys, most of the time it's pretty clean, but you just got to, with those 410s, bite your time and be patient and really be, careful on the throttle and just slowly make your way forward. As soon as you spin your tyres and heat the tyres, you drop back pretty quick. So it's just patience really, and knowing who you're racing against. And Brady and Tim they're always clean, so it was good racing at the front.
Yeah, well, you did yourself, a pretty solid job there, and I think Tim's also quite happy for you as able to work your way forward as well for good measure. To boot, well, hopefully, if I'm looking at the calendar correctly, looks like you guys are heading to the dirt track at Charlotte next week for the 4th round of the season. Any thoughts on what that might be like for you guys in the series, and also yourself personally as well with this car?
Yeah, so it's pretty tough for me. This is my first ODSE round for the year. I've got other commitments on Wednesdays, but I'm hoping I should be able to make it next week. But Charlotte's a completely different track. Most of the time it's sort of balls to the walls and it's pretty rough up there, and Tim will probably gap us by half a lap, but we'll tune her up, and if I can make it on, we'll try and give him a run.
Well, as it so happens, Tim unfortunately set himself a holiday, so he'll be off enjoying himself somewhere else apart from the Sims, so chance for someone else to step up. In that case, it might just be you. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And in that case, Josh, before we let you go, floor is yours. Who do you want to thank for your result tonight?
Yeah, just the Hoss guys. Like I say, we haven't been on much lately, but to come on and have good speed, it's always fun. ODSE for putting the series on, it's a great series. You guys for broadcasting, you do a fantastic job, and yeah, that's about it.
There we are. Thank you very much, Josh Barry. 2nd place in the feature here tonight, and we'll see if the man is around here. But he's got himself on definite. He does pay attention. Good work, man. So we bring Brady Baldwin, series admin, but also 3rd place on the road tonight here, Reese. I'll hand back to you to wrap up the interviews.
Yeah, Brady, that was a bit of a chaotic night, all things considered. It seems that it was defined by quite a few incidents in the heats and a little bit of controversy in the feature as well. But podium for you, so that must feel good.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We were really good early on. I purely set up for the bottom, and I wasn't going to leave it. Unfortunately, it sort of bit me at the end there. Yeah, just sort of, I thought I ran a decent line into 3 and 4 on the last lap, and Josh took advantage of it. I had to hit the brakes slightly, otherwise it would have been a little bit of contact there. But it's hard race on the last lap. I can only be mad at myself for that because I just sort of ruined my race there just by setting out for the bottom. We were good for about 22, 23 laps. Didn't need that last yellow. I think we had enough pace to stay with Tim, but can't complain with the podium against the caliber of drivers here tonight.
Yeah, very good stuff. Can you give us any insight into what race control was saying about drivers who ended up going a lap down, taking their fast repair? We kind of missed those messages.
I'm not too sure either. When I'm racing, I try and help out where I can, but I know that they'll sort of dealing with a little bit there going on, so I'm sure I'll talk to them after. Liam, Glenn, and Damo, they do a really good job, and I thought it's just one of those things that sort of just it happens in league racing. I'm sure we'll discuss and see what I'm not really sure what happened myself. I was sort of too busy trying to stay up front and not make too many mistakes. So we'll see what happens with the results, and we'll just head on to next week, really.
Yeah, indeed we will. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Brady. Is there anyone who'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, obviously, massive shout out to Peter Hobbs. This night was dedicated to him, so hopefully there was some half decent racing in behind where I was during that feature. Looks like a few guys moved forward, so might have been some decent racing. So yeah, massive shout out to Pete if he's watching back, and then everyone at obviously Synergy Sim Racing. We've been rolling pretty good in the dirt stuff of recent, so hoping to continue that for the last 3 rounds, and all our sponsors, Watercraft Performance at our Speedway shop, Parramatta, Zuzu Ute, DM Simtography, and all the boys, and try and have a lot of fun during the night. Sorry, and it's roll on to next week, I guess.
Yeah, let's roll on to next week indeed. That was Brady Baldwin there, finishing 3rd on the road, and according to the timing screen at Lucas Oil, of course, speaking of next week, it's on the 12th of April, the dirt track at Charlotte. Of course, the new start time of 8:15 Australian Eastern Time. We moved the start time back 15 minutes for this round, and we're keeping that for the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to this one, Dan, because that is an incredibly quick track there at Charlotte, super wide as well. The racing's going to be good.
Yeah, unfortunately, won't be able to be here to see it with you live and call it in that case, but do my best to try and check in with it afterwards. And after what we heard from Josh Barry about how it's going to be a balls to the wall circuit, that certainly could make for an interesting watch back of that one next time out. Well, big thanks to everyone for watching along here for the 3rd round of the ODSE 410 Thunder Series, brought to you by Hobbs Trenching and Boring, FastPrint Signs and Apparel, DM Simtography, Wash It Mobile Truck Washing, and Neuro Power. Massive shout out to all of those partners who make this series possible in supporting everyone at ODSE. And of course, the extra special shout out this week for Pete Hobbs. All the best for your recovery, and glad to hear you've been able to enjoy the racing action while watching along with us this evening as well. So glad to hear it, Pete, and thank you for supporting this series live with us here on the broadcast. And with that, Reese, thank you very much for being on the comms as always, and big thanks to Jay Kennedy for helping produce this one as well. My name is Zoe Yeaman, and I hope you guys enjoy next round next time out at Charlotte.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.